What's up, guys? This is Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. I'm here today at BMW of Wesley Chapel, bringing you the brand new 2021 BMW M235i Gran Coupe X-Drive. MSRP starts at $45,500. The one we have today is at $48,595. Now, BMW enthusiasts are saying that the actual 2 is not an actual BMW. They're saying that because the platform that this is on is off of the Mini, but it's also off of the X1 and the X2 SUV. So then you're saying, how is this a coupe when that's off of an SUV platform? And then they're talking about the X-Drive, which is the all-wheel drive system for BMW, because the platform rides as a front-wheel drive vehicle. So this vehicle has a little bit of confusion, and we're going to try to go over and touch some of the details. We're going to also talk about that 2.0-liter inline 4-cylinder twin-powered turbo engine that's 301 horsepower underneath the hood of this, with 332 pound-feet of torque, a 0 to 60 at 4.2 to 4.5 seconds, matted to your ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. We're going to go over all the details and specs starting now. The width of this BMW is at 70.9 inches, a height of 55.9 inches. So it does have a low roof line, which we'll go into on the side and more into the interior. The front, though, I think they did a good job integrating the kidney-shaped grille inside for the BMW. You'll get your BMW LED headlights in the vehicle as well, and it just kind of flares off the way the bumper kind of protrudes and make it more wide. Also has kind of like a spoiler lip because these actually brush off. All of these vents are actual functioning vents. Air curtain vent on the side. You get these nice aerodynamic lines through the center of the grille, so it gives an athletic and a very nice strong presence in this M235i. The length of this BMW is at 178.5 inches with a wheelbase at 105.1 inches. Standard on this vehicle will be your limited slip differential, your M Sport steering wheel, paddle shifters, M suspension, M wheels. These are 18-inch bi-colored wheels. M braking, so these ones are actually painted in blue, so it's going to be more of a performance braking in this vehicle as well. Now, what we were talking about is that headliner that is actually a low riding, so you can actually see it here. So what happens whenever you're going inside to the back seat area, you will lose a little bit of head space. Also, these are frameless windows, which is a nice touch because they got these little areas here where you can actually touch, and you don't have to worry about putting any fingerprints on the actual vehicle. Your MPGs on this is rated at 23 to 32 miles per gallon with a combined of 26 miles per gallon. The rear of this M235, I think they did a pretty good job. I don't necessarily like how big this trunk area looks. It looks more like an SUV than a coupe de ride, but I understand what they're doing because they got the actual spoiler here, which helps with the downforce. I do like the M-Spec bumpers that flare out, giving that sporty feel with your dual exhaust pipes and your diffuser in the middle with the black polish. I don't like how they actually have made these exhaust pipes look bigger than they are, because the exhaust is actually inside, but this is something that the automotive industry is doing, so it kind of gives a luxury and a sporty feel to it, and it kind of makes it look very classic. I do also like the black polish that goes throughout, because what typically happens is people or kids are going to be going into your cargo and pushing all over. This actual black polish doesn't leave any finger residue, so that's actually pretty good. Going into your cargo at 12 cubic feet, so it's a little bit on the tight side. However, as you're seeing, you can actually sit in the actual rear because the way the bumper is actually structured, it's lower, so it makes it easier to just slide things in and out of this cargo space. You can also put the back seats down at a 40-20 split. Now, this vehicle is going after your Audi A3 and your Mercedes-Benz A-Class vehicle. This one's set at 301 horsepower. Coming back to that question, is this a true BMW? Is this a true coupe? Is this a true four-wheel drive? We're going to go a little bit more in depth to see what you think in the vehicle. Let me know in the comments what you think so far about the exterior as we go to the rear again to give us some revs so you can actually hear that 301 horsepower. And then we're going to go into the interior and take it for our test drive. The interior and exterior of this vehicle, I think, really pops with that Alpine white, and you got the Magma red Dakota leather inside. These are perforated seats for the driver. It's a 12-way power adjustable with lumbar support, manual cushion extension. You also have your memory seats for the driver. The passenger will be a 10-way power adjust with manual cushion extensions. Now, the center of the vehicle, I think the modern look that BMW is doing is just really good. You got a little digital screen here for your dual climate control settings. You got your wireless charging pad, USB port, and a 12-volt charger here right next to the cup holders, which I would hope that you would have something to kind of cover your cup so it doesn't spill, but otherwise I think it's pretty sufficient for what it is. I do like the gear knob. It has a black polish over the top, and this black polish just really looks nice. It will leave a lot of fingerprints, so just make sure you kind of clean it off as you keep the car nice and detailed. Going inside here, you get another USB port, a little bit of storage. This one is coming with your M steering wheel, which is something that is really nice because it's a very aggressive, a strong steering wheel. You feel very firm in it, and it feels very sport to ride. Paddle shifters, not into the plastic paddle shifters. We're not going to go too much in depth on that. Heated steering wheel, get the M badging, so it does make a nice little pop. 8.8-inch infotainment with your navigation, your Bluetooth connectivity, so you get your Apple CarPlay. You'll also be getting your Android Auto that is now in your BMWs. They now offer it. You'll get this metal and carbon fiber type look throughout the dash, soft touch textures, the gauge cluster, your tachometer on your right, your odometer on your left. On the actual door panel, it is a leatherette throughout. You'll get some nice little things that pop, like this little pattern that they got in here. It kind of makes it look really nice, and it's something that doesn't really scratch or anything, so you don't have to worry about scratching the leatherette. Storage in the door panels, you can fit something even bigger than a 20-ounce cup, and you can fit 2 of them. So I mean, plenty of space there. The actual head space in the vehicle is at 38.2 inches, your leg space at 41.4 inches. This vehicle also has your hi-fi surround sound system with 10 speakers. This is a 205-watt sound system, your BMW teleservice, your live cockpit plus, and your rear view camera. The rear of this vehicle is going to be tight for adults, especially if you're in the 6 foot or 6'3" like me. At 35.6 inches of head clearance, my head is actually hitting the headliner, as you see. Leg space at 34.4 inches. My legs are exactly against the back of the front seats. And it's also a little bit hard to put this center armrest down as well. However, you do have 2 cup holders here. I would say it's going to be a more comfortable ride for somebody around 6'3" to kind of scoot like this. So that way your head's not hitting completely on the headliner. You do have 2 vents here, 2 USB-C ports. You got some storage behind both of the seats, 1 touch up and down windows. We're going to try to slide in the center so we see how it looks. All right, guys, in the center it's going to be very complicated to fit somebody 6'3". BMW has done a decent job of kind of giving you a little bit of head space, like they've kind of integrated these little areas so your head can fit. However, you don't. And my legs are completely against both of the front seats. It would be quite difficult to fit 3 people at 6'3" in the back of this vehicle. If you're going to fit 2 people, it's not necessarily too uncomfortable. However, if you're going for a long journey, I would suggest that you might want to take a couple pit stops. Taking this M235i out, anything over 300 horsepower, and this thing's at 301 horsepower, should be definitely a delight. I will say that the seat settings, it's going to be a little bit harder to find your adjustments if you are a little bit more on the taller side. You might want to consider the BMW M3 or your 3 Series BMW. The actual driving in the vehicle is actually relatively comfortable for the most part. You do have the M Sport suspension, so this is actually going to lower it, I believe, about 10 millimeters, so it's going to be a little bit more stiffer springs and dampers on the vehicle, so it's better for cornering and any type of performance that you're needing. You do have the M-Spec front and rear bumpers, so that also helps with that aerodynamics. As for visibility in the vehicle, you can see pretty much out of everywhere. There's really no blind spots. You do now get blind spot monitoring standard standard on the vehicle. Navigation, and this will also have your advanced traffic navigation, which is basically right now traffic reports, so it actually indicates if there's traffic or not, which is actually really well. You also will be getting the lane departure, your frontal collision, and your daytime pedestrian warning as well. So the vehicle does have some safety features that they are adding standard on this vehicle. Now to give it a little go in this vehicle to see how well she does, I'm going to just give her a little bit. And I mean, it's pretty nice. It sets you back good. It feels nice and firm. It hugs the road. So you do get some of the dynamics that we're looking for the BMW. Would I say this is a BMW or not? This is kind of going to depend on the actual person that buys the vehicle, because it does have a lot of essence of BMW. If I push the throttle, it goes. So this twin power turbo engine is really nice in that perspective, because it is just ready at any gear. So the torque to it is just immense, and that's what you're getting when you get BMW M powered vehicles, the ability to just downshift and it just switches on the fly. So it goes from, you know, a comfort to a aggressive ride immediately, and that's something that BMW enthusiasts are always looking for, and that's what this M235i has. And if you just give it a little bit of throttle, you'll definitely feel that BMW power in the car. Now, do I like the chassis and the way that it rides? I mean, it is more of a front-derived chassis, so I'm not necessarily blown away by that. However, because this is the X-Drive, which is four-wheel drive, you do have the capacity of taking corners relatively well. It's not a perfect 50-50 weight distributing, so don't even put that in the mixture. But the vehicle handling is pretty good. You're not going to be taking the corners that fast anyways in this vehicle, because you don't have wide enough tires in the car. These 18-inch bi-spoke wheels, I think, do set apart, and you know, it gives a little bit more of a light weight to the vehicle. So the vehicle weight-wise to the actual power that comes out of the performance in this vehicle is actually really good for the tuning of this four-cylinder inline engine. So with this particular vehicle, I would drive it more in a manual or a sport mode, because it just kind of feels that way. I do understand what BMW enthusiasts are saying because of the chassis, the way it's built. I was expecting it to sit a little bit more lower. It kind of feels like it's up. It might be just the seat positioning, but it also can be that platform that people are complaining about. The actual turn radius we're going to do right now, so we can actually see how good that is. And your turn radius from a stop point gets you into about a lane and a half, giving it some gas. I mean, it flows good. It's very smooth. That ZF transmission is excellent. Now, the braking in the vehicle, it doesn't have the same braking capacity, I would say, as your M Sport vehicles. So that is a little bit of a downside. But however, if you just kind of put it on the, it sets you back really good. So, I mean, you do feel the torque in the vehicle, and it does have enough sufficiency in power to get you to point A to point B. So I think if you are looking into purchasing a vehicle like this, you will be actually surprised with the power to BMW M, as you're seeing as we take this back to the dealership to go over that reverse camera and wrap this review up. Reverse camera, you can see it has the sensor, so it makes a nice little beeping noise to kind of make it a little bit easier for you. You do have a few settings here that you can change, different settings inside there, so you can change the colors, make it a little bit more brighter. The lines do move. It is a pretty clear screen. It is not a 360-degree camera. Unfortunately, it is only a reverse camera. I'd like to thank BMW of Wesley Chapel for giving us this 2021 BMW M235i for our car review. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for being part of the community. If not, click in the description. Check out the merchandise and details and everything we do here at Hawkeye Rides.